Well, one thing that the film achieves very much, which I greatly admire and I think it works very effectively, is there's great chemistry between the two actors, Antonia Campbell-Hughes and Julian Morris. And it's one of these films where there's as much spoken between them when there's no dialogue as much as there is dialogue. So perhaps would you mind telling us something about the kind of process in terms of working with the actors and kind of developing that relationship between them and yourself with them?
Yeah. Well, I suppose the thing is, the magic thing about filmmaking, I think I'm just on the first couple of rungs. I think the thing is, when you read other people's biogs and how they meet actors, there is this kind of sense when you're in the casting process that you meet that character, and it's not about meeting the actress, you meet the character. But when Antonia walked in that day on that cold Thursday morning, wrapped in a parka with a fur edge around her face and was completely framed, and the way she spoke, before she'd even uttered a line, I kind of thought I'd met Kelly. And the same thing goes for Julian as well. There was just something about their presence. And you can't really kind of identify why, but there's just something in the ether, shall we say. So when we were preparing, shall we say, I suppose when we wrote the script, one of the things that we did was that we made all the sex scenes especially explicit in description, so that whenever anybody read it, they knew what was coming. It wasn't like normally when you read sex scenes, and I read a lot of scripts all about how sex scenes were written, but usually they go, and they fuck, and that's it. And it's left at that, and you're going, oh, right. So I kind of went a little bit further than that. So they kind of knew what they were coming into. And I think when we got to kind of Liverpool, and we got into the one thing I really wanted was rehearsing and just getting people familiar with the role a bit. So that was kind of important. The rehearsal period was really important, because I think the getting to know the characters and seeing them on camera and seeing how they look was kind of important in terms of just developing a style of shooting, because we had this idea that we wanted to do it documentary style and do the longer takes. And Antonia and Julian kind of responded to that. They were really enjoying playing the whole scene out, rather than actually stopping them halfway through their line and going, right, now we're going for a mid, or now we're going for the close-up. So it was almost theatre in a weird way. And so we kind of found our style very quickly. And then one of the things that we did try and do was we kept them apart in terms of where they stayed in Liverpool, and I kind of asked them not to socialise outside of the work day, because I wanted, whenever they came together, whenever they had their scenes together, I wanted something about them coming together, meeting, to have that kind of like frisson or something like that. And so that was the only kind of rule that we had about how they were, how we wanted them to play the roles. But they kind of also enjoyed that, and in conversations later, they've said that was quite important to them as well, because actors do tend to kind of chat about how they might want to play a scene. And so kind of when we were working with them a lot, all the scenes that we did long takes. The whole thing was played out in one. And that was also kind of slightly dictated by the kind of, there wasn't oodles of money, so we needed to kind of work fast. So kind of shooting it in a documentary style, shooting it in longer takes, means that you get better performances from them. And so, we were kind of, first to second take sometimes, we were nailing it. Everyone knew there's a certain intensity when people know, can we get this in one? So, for example, the scene on the balcony where they're on the multi-story car park, that was done in one take. That was it. We did one take. Antonia tripped up and fell over, so we cut the take. But the take that you see is the only take. And I knew it was the take because the wardrobe supervisor and her friend were crying when they were watching it on the monitor, because we basically had the track Viking Moses Dancing by the Water Day playing on a car radio. just so they knew what kind of tempo they had to do. But it was one of those magic moments where everything timing-wise came together, and that's kind of testament to how they grasped the roles and went with it.